All right, so one of the things that I wanted us to get started with today, okay, was array lists. Okay, array lists. All right, so what I want you to do is I want you guys, some of you guys are going to really like array lists 10 times more so than arrays, okay? And with proper understanding. So what I want you to create a new project, a new class, call it array lists.
Wait, are we going to be able to see what we got wrong in the test?
Yeah, but here's the problem. I haven't, what's it called? I haven't graded the international students yet. So you guys know the deal. I just got to wait till they're done taking it. And then I send out the reports. Okay. So for example, the one thing I can tell you guys, so some of you guys who have odd numbers on your, so what that more than likely means is on part 7B on the free response, part B, some of you guys just went ahead and you added all the rows or you added the sums manually when you were specifically supposed to call on array sum. So you lost a point for that. Okay. So some of you guys specifically did that. I know like Vasily, I think, had a perfect score going into it. He had everything. And then he got 15 because he forgot the array sum call. Okay, so it's specific, assume that array sum works as specified, regardless of what you wrote in part A. If you guys remember, I specifically told you that there will be certain questions where you will have to use what you did in part A. You may not even understand what you did in part A, but for some reason, part B makes sense. And then you use part A in that. So you had to use array sum in that question, okay? All right, so let's get going. Anybody else? All right, perfect. Okay. All right, so let's talk about arrays in general, okay? Now, what do we know about arrays? What can they hold? Anyone? 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 Oh, come on, guys. What can array lists hold or arrays hold? Thanos, I'm going to start calling on you guys.
They can hold ints, strings.
They can hold what?
Integers, strings.
So they can hold objects, okay? All right, they can hold objects, all right? That's generally what they hold, okay? Now, the one downside, though, is this, okay? So they can hold objects, they can hold, where's my Eclipse? There we go, okay. So array lists, however, here's the beautiful thing about array lists, okay? Now, when I'm working with an array, can I resize my array? Absolutely, I can. But what's the downfall to resizing the array?
You're gonna have to reinitialize that.
All the data that was previously in it is gone. So don't say that you can reinitialize or that you can't you can reinitialize the size of the array. You just lose all the previous data. Okay. So that being said, there is something that we call array lists. Okay. Now array lists are really, really great. Okay. And let's learn the structure for an array list, shall we? Okay. So do you guys have your project open? Okay, so the way that we create an array list is as follows, okay? Array list string, and I'll call this names, equals new array list, okay? Oops. String, open parentheses, close parentheses. Now, okay, oops, you have to import, okay? import array. So Arraylist is in the utilities. Okay, it's one of the few things that is in the utilities folder. So if you just do array.util.asterisk, you'll get this along with the scanner. Okay, now what you have just done is you have created a list. Okay, you have created a list. This list is empty. The great thing about an array list is that it is on the fly. Okay, it is done on the fly. All right, so this is an array list of strings. Okay, so let's say I had this. Okay, all right. Now, what is the size of my array?
5.
5. What is the size of my array list?
Currently 0.
Currently 0, but here's the cool thing. With an array list, okay, you can build it as big, as many, you can add as many things as you want to it. The cool thing about an array list is that it is built on the fly. With an array, it's not. You kind of have to give it a preset length and you fill it in from there, okay? An array list, you don't do that. Okay, so let's talk about adding things to the array list. An array list is different. So when I'm talking about an array, I can just reference the index number. We can do that with the array list, but for the most part, okay, what we're doing is we use methods. That's the difference with array list as opposed to everything else. So if I wanted to add a name to the array equals Susan, okay? That occupies the first index, okay? Names dot add. So the first method you need to know, the dot add, Susan, okay? Boom. Names dot add, Susan, okay? The dot add method or the add method, okay? The add method, now, what is the size of our array? It is 1, okay? Now, the index of this object is also 0, okay? Now, let's just go ahead and let's just add 3 more names, okay? Names dot, so here we go. Oops. It's going to copy this. Okay, names dot add Susan. We'll say Paul. We'll say Peter. We'll say Mary. Okay, yay. It's like Puff the Magic Dragon. All right, now what is the size of our array? 4, okay? Again, with an array list, you have to use methods, all right? You can also do this. Take a look. I can add at a specific index. What do I mean by that? Right now, the order is Susan, Paul, Peter, and Mary. If I say names.add, okay, and what I do is I'm going to say to John. What I have just done right now is I have basically said, okay, 0, 1, 2. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert John at index 2. Now, John or Peter does not get overridden. Now, this is where you have to get used to. If you guys remember system.arrayCopy, you would actually just overwrite the values. What happens here in this instance is John is now here. The other 2 just get pushed over. So Peter was index 2, he's now index 3. Mary was index 3, she's now index 4, okay? Does that make sense? So you're not overriding anything, okay? Now, let's go ahead real quick. Okay, so now that we've done add, what I'm going to do really quickly is this. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I'm going to have for int j equals 0. J is less than name.length j plus plus. Okay. If I wanted to print out, what was in this array, what would I now do? I would use substitution, right? And I would just say name index j. And what this is going to print out, right now it's going to print out 5 nulls, okay? Which is fine. But let's say I wanted to print out what was in my array list. Well, obviously an array list works differently than an array. So if we wanted to calling on the value, okay? So I'm gonna say int j is 0, j is less than in this instance, okay? So 2 things that we're going to do. Names, okay? So the first thing, we don't use dot length with array lists. We use dot size. Second, we don't call on the, it doesn't have an index value. We say dot get, and in the parameter, we type in j. Okay, so now if I run this, Susan, Paul, John, Peter, Mary. Okay, so again, let's go over this. Adding just appends. You basically just keep adding on. Okay, dot add with 2 parameters. The first parameter is the index at which you want to put it. Okay, the second parameter is what you're inserting. Make sure that it matches the type of the array list. Okay, now the other elements that are in, now if let's say I did it at 2 and there was nothing there, it just stays at 2. Does that make sense? So for example, right here, I would be 0, 1, 2, 3. So if I just did 4, it would just append to the end of the list, okay? Most of the time, you will see a number because they want you to be understanding of that, okay? Calling on the value, two methods in one, okay? We have dot size. When we refer to an array list, we refer to it with dot size. When we're calling on it, there are no index values for an array list, okay? We use dot get. Dot get, okay? Now, let's say, for example, I don't like the name Paul, okay? I don't like the name Paul. Then there's something that I can do. I can say names, dot remove, okay? And what index is Paul? 1. Okay, here's the cool thing. Okay, so if I run this now, so I have Susan, Paul, John, Peter, Mary. Susan, John, Peter, Mary. So when I use remove, what happens is Paul got deleted. Peter used to be index 2. He is now index 1. Mary used to be index 3. She's now index 2. So basically, the list collapses. Okay? The list collapses on itself. All right? Now, do you guys have any questions so far? Hold on. Oh, hold on 1 second. Okay. All right. Yes, Alex. Sorry about that. We just giving you guys a heads up. Our pug puppy jumped off the sofa and dislocated her leg. So she's in the she didn't break anything. They took ER, whatever. They said she's just got to basically get over it. She just has a lot of inflammation. So that's my girlfriend letting me know that the pug is going to be okay. She's like this big. She saw her coming in the house and she jumped off the sofa and it landed on her back leg wrong. But it's okay. It's okay. All right. Because if she passed away, it would have been a nice dinner, but whatever. Okay, go ahead, Alex.
Totally
You're a little clueless there, Alex. What is it, Alex? What's up?
Oh yeah. What happens if you try to remove, like, say, index 6 if there's only 4 indices? Is it
So you get Arraylist index out of bounds error.
Okay.
Okay. Good question. Arraylist index out of bounds error. Okay. Similar ways. You still get out of bounds errors. Okay. Now, okay, most of the time, so like, for example, dot remove 1. Okay. You can actually, so the other thing is, so like, let's say, for example, let's look at this. Okay. In particular, I want to take a look at remove. So first of all, one other thing. Okay. How would I go through this? How would I go through this with a for each loop? Yes.
Could you do like a for each string I in like names and then sys out I?
No. Well, you could, yes. Okay. Here's the thing: it's so with an array list. Okay, you can. So here's the great thing about an array list: it's still storing strings, right? So if I want to go through my array list, I can just, or if I want to do a for each, I can say for string z, and I can say names. Okay. But here's the problem. Okay. Who can tell me take a look. I'm going to say print z. Okay. Oops, not print. Sorry, I think, oops. Okay, here we go. All right. So take a look. This is one of the beautiful ways of using. So take a look. This one does the exact same thing as this one. What is the beauty of using a for each loop with an array list that you can already see? Dylan, why is it already better?
I mean, I suppose you don't have to get it at a certain index.
And you don't have to use what? The other method. What's the other method? You're literally right on what I'm trying to say.
Dot size?
Bingo. You don't have to use dot size. You don't have to use dot get. 2 methods thrown out the window that you don't have to use with a for each loop. With array lists, and if you're cycling through, I would like you to use a for each loop. What's easier to write? This or this? The for each loop, right? Okay. Now, one of the things that I completely forgot to tell you guys, okay, that I want to probably just finish up right now. I'm going to finish up this 5 minutes with you guys. Okay. One of the things I wanted to go over was with array lists, okay? The beautiful thing about an array is that it can hold objects and it can hold primitives. An array list cannot hold primitives. Okay, so if I told you to make an array list of integers, okay, I cannot do int, okay? Dylan, you look shocked. Did you not know that?
I am shocked because in C#, which is essentially the same language, you can.
Yeah, well, it's obviously an improvement. It was created 15 years later.
Yeah.
I
Obviously.
hate children. All right, so okay, integer works. Okay, integer. Now, some of the improvements that they did make on Java, okay, some of the improvements that they did make on Java is that when you used an array list of integers, you would have to convert it back to a numerical state. You'd have to cast it. You don't have to do that anymore. For some reason, it acts as its number, okay, which is kind of cool. And it saves you from having to return. But with array lists in Java, you cannot create an array list of primitives. I will test you on that. I will quiz you on that, okay? You cannot do it with, you can only have objects. That's why string works fine. String is an object, okay? Dylan, you look so shocked.
I'm not happy with this.
Okay, so don't worry. When I found out you were on my roster, I wasn't happy with it either. So okay, now we're gonna stop here. Okay, because it's a little late. I don't want you guys to spend all your time here, but just because what I wanted to do was I was gonna go over the test and then go cover some of the intros. So there's no homework tonight because we're gonna recover this again. But I wanted to just give you guys an intro to array lists. Okay. Now, array lists, the one thing I want you to, you're going to see something called list. It's the same thing as an array list. Okay. In your book, you will see lists. It is the same thing. Now, there are more array list methods. Okay. But for the most common ones that are used are get, add with to, set, which we haven't gone over, we index of, which we haven't gotten over, and dot size and dot remove. Okay, we will cover the other ones later as we go more into it, but I just wanted to give you guys a brief introduction to this one. Okay, and as you can see, some of you are going to really like it because some of the homework that you do with an array list is actually kind of fun because it's kind of just putting puzzle pieces on top of each other, trying to figure it out and stuff like that. It's I wouldn't say fun, but you know, it's fun by our standards, which are low standards. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, fine. Go ahead, guys. Anybody? We have the time.
So there's no limit to how big an array list can get, or is there like a limit?
The limit would literally be your memory,
Okay.
like your computer memory. It's the same thing as a string. String can be as long as you need it to be at the capacity of your computer. Like I said, some people have put the entire Bible and the Torah into just one string. Okay. I believe somebody even wasn't there somebody that tweeted the Bible? I think somebody tweeted the Bible. Like they actually wrote out the entire Bible in tweets. So I wonder what Jesus's hashtag was. All right, okay. So that being said, anybody have any questions? Who likes array list already? Okay, nobody. All right, this is good. Good start. Okay. The other thing, guys, giving you guys a heads up, when you're dealing with this on free response, you'll have a few multiple choice questions. There's a good chance you will have an array list question. You don't need to import anything. Okay, the imports will be assumed. Understood? Yes, Danos.
Do we have a quiz on this tomorrow? Or...
No, I just told you. No, well, I don't have you tomorrow. But if you want me to give you a quiz, I can.
No, it's fine.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, so we'll leave it here. I'll upload this so you guys can watch it later today. And good luck. And I will see you guys tomorrow, okay? Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.